I want to share with you a moment in my life. It is etched deep in my mind like the carvings of Egyptian hieroglyphs found deep down within the tombs of the Great Pyramids. It happened over 20 years ago, so I can't remember too many details. In fact, most of it is a blur. But what I do vividly remember is the intense feeling of curiosity that gripped me in that moment. It was a feeling that quietly followed me like my shadow from childhood and into early adulthood. But on this ordinary day, it briefly surfaced once again, stirring something within me. I had been riding the subway from my university campus in downtown Toronto. My rides home were never that eventful. Most of the time I spent preoccupied in my own little world, not really noticing the people around me. But that day would be different. I don't know why, but for some strange reason, amongst the teeming crowd, I became aware of this elderly man who had been sitting across from me. There was something about his presence that awoke an intense curiosity in me. I became incredibly curious about this stranger. Who was he? What kind of life had he lived? How did he perceive the world? What did it feel like to be him? I wish I could tell you that I had the courage to strike up a conversation with this stranger and now had a fantastic tale to share with you. But nothing of the sort happened. The train pulled loudly into my station, snapping me back to reality, and I got off quietly. It would be about a decade later, while traveling the world in my early 30s, that I would truly understand what had surfaced many moons ago on that subway. I had unearthed my insatiable curiosity for how others experience life on this earth. I was drawn to how their cultures, traditions, and societies have shaped their psychology and perspectives. Today, I'm 46 years old, and I finally decided to create a podcast that will expand my mind through the personal stories of my candid guests, and more importantly, share their perspectives with you, my listeners. Let me ask you a question. Do you like listening to people's stories in hopes of understanding the human condition better? Or perhaps learning something about yourself through their experiences? If so, I welcome you to the X Perspective podcast. Over the past 2 decades, as an avid world traveler, journalist, and observer of human psychology, I have recognized that we all perceive the world uniquely, based on our upbringing, culture, personality, and experiences. I am captivated by the different perspectives and how they shape our approaches to life. By the way, I'm Raj, and I will be your host as we together explore the lives of others with the hope of gaining insight into other perspectives and learning how people from around the world experience the human condition. I'm excited to announce the first season of the podcast will bring you inspiring stories centered on courage. Each one of my guests shares their personal stories of courage and provides an insightful and powerful message of how they overcame difficult obstacles. Their tales are deeply moving as they cover topics such as how to deal with a lifelong illness, a tragic accident, and even the death of a firstborn baby. Other stories touch on ideas of reinventing yourself, accepting yourself, and carving out a new life path. I am very pleased my courageous guests have stepped up to share their intimate thoughts in hopes of inspiring others to summon their own courage. I ask you to come with me on this eye-opening journey to expand your mind as we explore and learn how others perceive the human condition. Now, if you've made it this far, I thank you for your attention and time. And I hope to see you soon in episode 1, where my first guest, my husband, Jason Bishop, reveals how and why he courageously stepped out of his comfort zone to carve a new life path. To be notified of when new episodes launch, I encourage you to subscribe to the X Perspective podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or any other podcast platforms. If you happen to know someone who may find value in such content, please tell them about the podcast and help spread the word. Thanks again for listening, and I hope to see you soon.